Today on Adversity to Strength, we have Fitz Koehler. MSESS is a dynamic force in the fitness industry, gracing stages worldwide, firing up finish lines as America's noisiest race announcer and calling out excuses wherever they hide. With a master's degree in exercise and sports science from the University of Florida, Fitz blends real science with humor, heart, unapologetic bossiness. Her no nonsense approach feels like a pep talk from your most fun, brutally honest friend. Fitz has inspired audiences for some of the world's most respected brands, including Disney, Oakley, Office Depot, and the American Cancer Society, delivering powerful keynotes that motivate real change. A regular on national and regional television, she's appeared hundreds of times, sharing smart, practical advice on fitness, weight loss, and living well. She created the Morning Mile, a before school walking and running program active in more than 400 schools worldwide, helping kids and families start their day strong and healthy. Her new book, You Supercharged, the exact formula for fitness, weight loss, and longevity, gives adults a clear science backed path to get fit, losing weight, boosting energy, and building habits that last. After enduring 15 months of the treatment triathlon, chemotherapy, radiation, and surgeries, Fitz crushed cancer and came back stronger than ever. That triumph inspired her Healthy Cancer Comeback series, helping patients and survivors rebuild strength, confidence, and joy. Through her hit podcast, The Fitness Show, her books, and her high octane race announcing, Fitz continues her mission to help people live better, longer, and louder with her fitness isn't punishment, it's power, fun, and freedom. Fitz, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's great to have you on.
I am stoked to be with you, Lee. Hi.
Hi, thank you so much. Your journey is an eventful one to say the least. Take us back to the beginning of your journey, wherever that was. Where did it all start for you?
Well, I think the most interesting thing is I started teaching fitness when I was 14. I got hurt playing soccer, blew out my knee, MCL injury, or football, I should say. I know you're got a lot of European listeners, but yeah, so I was playing football and
Yeah.
blew out the knee, had surgery, and the physical therapist told my mom, you got to get her in the gym and keep her strength training or she's going to re-injure the knee. So my mother lied. So she said I was 15, so I could join the gym.
Yeah.
And thankfully she did because I joined and I fell in love with it. I loved the exercising. I loved taking classes. I thought the instructors were cool. And I had been working at a place called Cinnabon in the mall at the time, which is making very high calorie, high fat cinnamon rolls,
Yeah.
which is the opposite of teaching fitness, but a perfect teenager job.
Yeah.
And thankfully, my manager there got mean, so I quit and I applied at the gym and they hired me and I instantly started teaching classes. Literally, I applied on a Tuesday. They said, can you teach a class on Friday? And with no training at all, thank goodness I said, sure. And I did, and it went pretty well. And gosh, I mean, it's just taken me everywhere. I've been teaching fitness all over the world, live presentations. I've worked in television for a very long time and radio. I have 5 books. I do race announcing, which is I host many of America's largest and most iconic running events. So Fargo Marathon, I've hosted Los Angeles Marathon, Philadelphia Marathon, Detroit, the towns you've probably heard of. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I just love helping people live better and longer. And yeah, I'm happy to poke people in the chest. I'm as sweet and happy and supportive as could possibly be, but I'm also happy to be firm and tell people the truth, the ugly, brutal truth, because they need to hear it sometimes, and sometimes it's a life or death issue. So, yeah, I'm a one-trick pony, really. I make noise, or I bully people into getting fit.
That's
I
not
make
bad.
no
That's not a bad
apologies.
thing. That's not a bad
Yeah.
thing. I'd imagine a lot of people when they come to you, you kind of just give them instant motivation, just your personality.
You know what's wonderful is I'm naturally energetic. Whoever I am right now is who I was at 3 and 10, and I just have this inner joy. And you're a psychotherapist, so you know some of us are fortunate to be born this way. I am born this way, and my mom, she confessed to me when I was an adult. She said, "I always called you the happy kid. You were conceived at Disney World, for real." I was conceived on the property of Disney World, which is pretty funny, but yeah, I just choose perspective and I choose bright side and the energy is legit. I can't help it. And so it's fascinating to me how many people say, I need your energy. I'm coming across the country to run your race because I want your energy. They thrive off it. So what an interesting place to be in where the joy and the energy I feel on the inside is transferable to others. That's pretty cool, right?
You can tell that just with 2 seconds of talking to you, you've got so
Yeah.
much energy about you. There's so much enthusiasm. You can't help have it brush off onto other people. So I can see why people will travel states to kind of be in your environment because it's going to give them a lift. Like you're saying about like football, if you've got like a top player that's in the team and there's players that's not as good, that they can raise their game because they want to be kind of on a par as best as they can with somebody that inspires them. So for me, it's the same with yourself.
Well, and I hope so. And I'm sure on the flip side, there's some people who find me terribly annoying. That woman won't shut up and she can't be really that happy. And she's always telling us what to do. So, I know I
Oh
can't
yeah,
please
of
everybody,
course.
but it's pretty awesome.
It's annoying to lots of people. It's annoying to lots of
That's
people.
right.
There's this lady. She's always happy all the time. I hate people like that.
That's right. Hashtag too bad.
Yeah. So with yourself, then you started off like really young in the fitness world, then. And did
Yeah.
you have any sort of plans to do anything else other than that, or did things change when you fell in love with the gym?
You know what? I once I started teaching fitness, I thought, wow, this could be a great career. And then I looked at people that were in fitness, working in a gym and so forth, and I thought, I don't know if you could really make a living doing that, right? I knew I wanted to own a house and own a vehicle and have kids and take them on vacation. And I thought, well, I'll never be able to do that working at a gym. And I'm still not convinced people can do that working at a gym. So it took a while. It was once I started working in television and speaking that I thought, okay, I can create a unique career, a unique business of my own that allows me to earn a living that I want, to have the things that I want. But I also, I love my country so much. I'm a raging patriot. I love freedom. I was born to appreciate the sacrifices of the men and women in uniform who gave so much. And
Yeah.
so I really thought perhaps I'd join the military. And then I realized, no, I'm cowardly. I wouldn't be able to stand in front of bad guys with guns. And then I would like to run for office. That's always been on my agenda to serve. I mean, really, it's my passion to serve and give back to this country that's given me so much. But also, politics are really ugly. I mean, it's wherever you go, whether it's the States or
In the
Europe or
UK.
Africa. It's mean. I don't know if I'm cut out for that type of hostility. And so I do feel like I have tremendous power here in the private sector. And the work I do does really serve my country. When people are fitter, they're nicer, they're more productive, they're less likely to leech off the taxpayers by being sick and having everybody else pay for their drugs and surgery. So, right now I feel satisfied that this is what I was destined to do, and I'm going to stay on this track.
Yeah, I think it's a good choice because obviously you look at Arnie back in the day, in what the 70s, in the 80s when he's doing pump and iron, he was going around prisons, then he's gone around schools teaching like healthy eating,
Yeah.
training, that kind of thing there as well. Obviously, he went into politics after, but
Yes.
he's still giving back there, and you're saving people's lives, even if you're getting them to eat a basic diet or to get a level of fitness in, even if it's walking around their block a few times.
Right, right. And so I'm very much working hard to try to connect with the Trump administration. There's the Make America Healthy Again movement, and what they lack is a fitness expert. They have all of these, that they're pro athletes and they're working on vaccines. I'm not your vaccine girl. I'm not a doctor, but can I get people up and moving? Can I get Americans up out of their seat doing more and being better? I sure can. So it's apparently not easy to reach out to the president and be like, hey, I'd like to make everybody exercise, but I'm working on it. So stay tuned.
So how did you get into the television then? Because there's a million fitness instructors out there and personal trainers, and they all think they're the best. Then how come you managed to get that break?
Yeah, it was interesting. So I was in college at the University of Florida, go Gators, and I had actually just came home from Europe. I had taught fitness on a cruise ship that sailed from New York to England to every country in Scandinavia and so forth. It was a five-star, beautiful cruise line. It was a great opportunity for me to travel and see things that my parents couldn't afford to send us, on vacation to do. And I returned to Gainesville to go back to school, and there was a producer, a TV producer, who was creating a new show and he had auditions. And so I thought, yeah, I'd like to give that a try. And thank God he hired me. And it was pretty powerful because at that point, not only did I learned two things. I learned number one, that my skills were transferable. The skills that I had teaching fitness to a live audience worked on camera. And it doesn't always work that way. People who are live presenters can't always do a great job on TV, and TV presenters definitely can't do a great job live audience automatically. But my skills were transferable. And then what started happening after the show started airing is strangers would approach me. And it's one thing to be able to impact someone you see show up at your class or a personal client, you know them and you see them making progress. But when strangers grab you on the street and say, "Are you Fitz?" Yeah, I watch your show all the time. I love it. I record it. I work out with you when I'm off work and I've lost 17 pounds or this. And it was that feedback that
Yeah.
was really profound to me. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm helping strangers. And so, if I was teaching fitness at the university gym, which I was, quite often I'd have a classroom full of 50 people. That's great. I had a fun time teaching fitness to 50 people, but to know that there were thousands or tens of thousands exercising with me because of television, that felt really rewarding. And then I ended up with this craving for mass media. And so that's where my professional intentions always lie, is mass impact. How can I reach a huge amount of people in one fell swoop? So yeah, I'm very mission driven and
Definitely. Yeah, you
that
can see that. It sounds like you've been on a mission from day one.
yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Uh,
Thank
how old were you when you were first in TV, and then you got people coming up to you?
I think it was 19, maybe
Not
20.
Yeah, that's a lot in a short space of time.
Yeah, yeah, but oh, and then so after that, this is a interesting sidebar. So during grad school, so I went to UF for 4 years, and then I went on to get my master's in exercise sports sciences. Once I decided, yes, this is the career I want to have, and during that point, I started training to compete as a full contact kickboxer, and so I fought for almost 10 years, and that was incredible. But the UFC was just getting started. Even women's boxing wasn't much of a big deal. I think Layla Ali might have been fighting at the time, but there
Yeah.
weren't many females in the fight sports. And so, as this full contact kickboxer, there was few of us, and then I was kind of cute. Now here's the deal. I am very realistic. I am not Miss America. I'm not the most beautiful girl on any street. And coming back to the University of Florida was proof. If I stood next to any of those girls on campus, I was average, not a stunner. But in kickboxing, a lot of the girls are pretty rough. At least they were back then, right? So I drew a lot of attention. Not only was I talented, I think I was a good fighter, but
Yeah.
they started doing articles on me. I'd have all these magazines come out and say, "Hey, can we do an article on you? Can blah blah blah." So yeah, I'd fly out to
Yeah.
California. We do photos, and
Was it kind of like what's a nice girl like you doing in a sport like this to start
I
with?
got who gave me a lot of that was pro fighters. Like there was this guy, Bill Superfoot Wallace, and he was real irked about me fighting. He was like, "I love your nose. You shouldn't fight." And so he actually took me to Europe to train with him, Germany and Switzerland. That was 2 weeks of awesome because he liked my face. But anywho, so I had a lot of articles written about me, and then eventually I said, "Can I please write the article?" And one of the magazines said, "Sure." And so my first article that I wrote was called "How to Kick People in the Head," which was my favorite thing to do. And so the article, it took some fitness expertise. Here's how to build your hip flexors, make them strong enough to lift your heavy legs. And here's how to make the back of your legs more flexible, your hamstrings and your glutes, so you have the range to put your foot up high. And then here's the strategy of getting them to not only put your foot on their head, but to get them to lean their head into your foot and make that head-on collision. So that was the article. And then it eventually came out in bookstores. And then I got a letter from a man in Kentucky, and he said, "Fitz, I just want to let you know I've been training in martial arts and whatever for a very long time. I read your article. I finally just kicked someone in the head. Thank you so much." And I thought, oh, that was almost like I kicked that other guy in the head. And so TV was great, writing articles was great, live presentation. Any way I could get my message into somebody else's minds became a real, I don't know, just mission driven, right? Keep more
Yeah.
people in the head.
So that would have been what, the early 2000s?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, yeah, it was a while back.
Because I remember like with like the around that time, I had like friends that were started showing me UFC. They were really into it, and it was around like
Hmm.
the Hoist Gracies and the Dan Sevens and
Yes.
Hank Abbott sort of times, which is kind of a good time to have got into it because I remember those names from like years ago standing out.
Yeah, and I had great access to those guys too. I worked with the ISKA, the International Sport Kickboxing Association, which sanctions fights all over the globe.
Yeah.
So the Gracies, Bas Rutten, Kung Lee. I mean, there was a whole bunch of wonderful fighters. Duncan Arley James. Do you know Duncan?
No, no.
Okay,
Yeah.
he's Scottish and he was a world heavyweight. I think he did Muay Thai. It might have just been full contact. But anyways, he's an actor now. He still lives in Scotland. He's a good friend of mine. He's going to be on my podcast very soon. But it was a wonderful time to be a part of that. And they all treated me like little sister. And uh, yeah, I mean, cool folks and so polite too. It's interesting with boxing, just hands only boxing the athletes tend to be a little rougher. So here in the States, many people take to boxing through police athletic leagues. It's inner city, and their parents are just saying, go do something, get off the streets, don't do drugs. You know, they get into boxing. In order to participate in the yeah, kicking sports, you need money. Like you have to hire a trainer. And so all of these athletes coming into the ISK events, they've got college degrees, they own
Really?
businesses. Yeah, it's a really interesting,
Yeah, it is.
educated crowd.
It's not something that you ever think about. You see two people fight, you don't.
Savage.
Yeah. So you don't think that this guy's got a degree, a
Yeah.
PhD, he's got his own
Hmm.
business. You're not even thinking about that. So it's amazing that it's almost like as we say in the UK, like a middle class sport. So
Right. I mean, yeah, we don't have any real fancy pantses doing it, but yeah, that this someone has a job and they can afford to take classes or so forth. There, people aren't handing out full contact kickboxing or mixed martial arts training for free. So globally, and so people are really polite and I don't know. It was a great crowd to be a part of.
also with those guys, I mean, I used to be a doorman in nightclubs for like 10 years,
Yeah,
and you'd get guys that they're really like mouthy, they want to cause trouble, that kind of thing.
yeah.
And they're just idiots. But all of the guys that I knew that were proper fighters, that did martial arts, that you could really look after themselves, they were always the nicest guys ever. They never needed to prove anything to anyone.
That's exactly right. So I was leaving a world championship match in San Jose, California, and it was me and about nine of our athletes. Again, all professional fighters. That's where I met Duncan. So there's Duncan, this big Scottish dude in a tartan suit, and then little Hispanic dude, and everybody's like wearing their weird little clothes and stuff like that. And then as we're walking down the street, I guess we were going to a restaurant or a bar. I don't know. It was pretty nerdy activity we were up to. But this car full of like gangbanger thugs starts shouting at us. So just blah blah blah. It was they were vulgar and they were threatening and I just thought, "Oh my God, you have no idea
Yeah.
what you're getting into. If you get out of that car, this little group of weirdos I'm walking with will obliterate you." I mean, they were the most talented fighters on earth. Right there, looking like big Star Wars nerds or something like that. But
Yeah.
yeah, they would have beat the tar out of this thugs, and I was, I would have been the cherry on top. Like, oh, the little blonde Mac hit me too. But anyways, it's a great sport.
How long did you do it for? It was a good few years,
Um,
wasn't it?
yeah, just under 10 years. I think I
Yeah.
started about 20, and then I think I got pregnant before 28, and that put a damper on fighting, as you can imagine.
Yeah. And so after that, then, where did you go to after that? Because obviously it's all about fitness, one way or the other.
Right. So fitness has been the thread that's run through my whole career and fighting had a big role because I was an athlete, right? And then And then I created programming so other people could train like a full contact kickboxer without getting hit or hurt. And that was pretty fantastic. But I evolved into the running industry. I launched a before school walking running program for kids. And I just thought, well, let's get them out, get them exercising before the school day begins. Ended up putting it over 400 schools, mostly within the US, but Japan, Canada, some of the islands adopted the morning mile as well. And along the way, I was still keynote speaking, and that's always been a thread in my career that I would speak live audiences. And that's really one of the things I love most is when I get to connect with people. I'm teaching, but they're actually there, and we can have, we can look at each other and smile and laugh and so forth. So, doing lots of keynotes, and then I started working quite often for Walt Disney World. And so they would bring me in to speak sometimes to their consumers, sometimes to their cast members. And I mean, golly, they would have these fabulous events and they would put a stage out for me in front of Spaceship Earth, that big ball at Epcot. They would give me Mickey Mouse as my sidekick, which was pretty fun. And I would speak and teach fitness from those platforms. And then I started teaching clinics for the Disney Marathon series. So they have multiple running events throughout the year, and they would bring me in as their fitness expert to uh, do presentations. Their race announcer, besides being at the start and finish line of the races, pumping up the crowds, all of that stuff, he was stuck introducing the speakers at the speaker series. And so he would listen, he would introduce me and the other speakers, and then we would sit and listen. When I would finish, he'd always say, "You're so good. You're so energetic. I love your presentations, blah, blah, blah." And so this went on, every race. And then finally he goes, "You know what? I need a co-announcer for the OC, that's Orange County Marathon in California in a few months. Can you come? Would you be interested?" And I said, "Well, I would be interested. I've never done it before, but if you show me the ropes, I'd love to give it a go." And so thankfully that race director said yes. And my very first race morning, I think they left me with about 20 something thousand athletes, me versus them. And it was the most fun I'd ever had ever. Just, the more people that I have access to, the more comfortable I feel.
I was,
So
I was,
it
I was
it
going to say,
was
I can't imagine anything phasing you.
no, 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 no. I mean, it just gets better. You could give me a billion people and I would
Yeah.
I would just like poof into heaven. And so we had the best time and they were wild. I mean, we had collectively brought things to a fever pitch before I yelled go. And so about an hour after that, the director came over and said, "Can you come back next year?" And my answer was, "Hell yes, sign me up for more." And so that experience led to me getting more invitations at other races. And I've probably announced, I mean, God, probably 500 to 1,000 races since 2014.
It's a
And
lot of
I
racing.
love it.
Yeah.
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 And like I said earlier about your enthusiasm, I can imagine that just brushes off on people listening to you and seeing you there.
I hope so. And I think they do. It's interesting. Some sports hosts, they'll sit in a booth, they read the words, and
Yeah.
they want to sound official and good for them. I do very little reading. Give me bullet points, and then I talk to people. I never talk at them, and I'm excited about them. As a fitness expert, I think, holy mackerel, 10, 20, 30,000 people have shown up to exercise today. How much fun can we have? If I can make sure that experience on race day is a 10 out of 10, then they're more likely to continue their training, keep exercising, come back, do it, whether it's my event or a different event, doesn't matter to me as long as they keep working on their health. And so I'm genuinely ecstatic to be in those positions with those people. And I think my enthusiasm rubs off, and then their
Yeah.
enthusiasm rubs off on me, and we just are like giddy all day. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah. Of course, you can see that. You can imagine that
Right.
without doubt. So you're living your life and you're doing all these things, and it's all going really well for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then out of nowhere, you're ill.
Yeah, so I'm at a race weekend at Disney
Yeah.
and I get out of the shower and I rub my under boob. I just had an itch and it was 6 weeks after a crystal clear mammogram. I found a lump. And so I called the doctor. I said, "Hey, I found a lump." They said, "Can you come in tomorrow?" I said, "No, I have a race." And they said, "What about Monday?" Sure. So I went in and within a week, I had had the mammogram, another mammogram, ultrasound, where they said, hey, we do see a mass, but we also see several hard swollen lymph nodes we're concerned about. And that's when I knew I was in big trouble because it had already spread. And if something had gone from nothing to a sizey tumor and it had spread within a few weeks, then I was possibly doomed. And so I had a biopsy pretty quickly, and the surgeon called to say, "Hey, Fitz, I'm so sorry, but you have breast cancer, and it is spreading through you like wildfire, and we need to treat you urgently and aggressively." And they did. And so I had 15 months of chemotherapy, 33 rounds of radiation, some surgeries, and it was brutal. Nobody thinks cancer's fun, and they're right. It was absolutely brutal. I was obliterated. Like every cell in my body was awful. I got to the one point where my mother was screaming at me, "You look like you were in the Holocaust. You need to eat." I was like, "I know, Mom. Doing my best here. Not easy, but I made some great choices during treatment. Number one, I continued to do what I could when it came to exercise.
That's really
So
important, isn't it? It's really
absolutely.
important.
Absolutely. I mean, here's the deal. So many people that get diagnosed, whether it's cancer or MS or Parkinson's or whatever it is, they go, "Oh, I can't exercise. I'm giving up." Okay. Well, you've
Yeah.
just lied on your back like a dog and said, "Okay, disease, take me. Do what you want."
Yeah.
Instead, I thought, "Nope. I'm going to push back. I'm going to maintain as much strength, much mobility and stamina as I can." And eventually, chemo had its way with me. I slid backwards for sure, but if I had not continued to exercise, that backslide would have been even more
Right.
devastating
Right.
or fatal. That's right. So, if you pursue exercise and nutrition during cancer care, you are far more likely, studies show you are far more likely to reach remission. That means no evidence of disease, and far less likely to have a recurrence. So, exercise nutrition is a powerful part of your survivorship, right? So, those things I did, but I also, mental health, I chose perspective, even though I was scared and stressed and sore and all of those things. I chose to be grateful that I wasn't a child going through cancer care. You know,
So,
I,
how old were you at the time?
I think I was 42 when I was diagnosed.
42. So, when it comes to cancer, I'm not an expert on cancer, but I deal with it all the time as a therapist. A lot of times it's their lifestyle, it's this, it's that. You're super healthy. You've been super healthy from day one. All
Yeah.
right. 6 weeks ago, you had a check there. How's this even possible? Where did that come from? I mean, what was their explanation for it?
Yeah, so a lot of cancer is a fluke. I mean, certainly it could be genetic. I had no genetic component to my cancer, so it was not genetic. I didn't have any lifestyle factors that would predict I would be diagnosed with cancer, but we have cells going rogue every day,
Yeah.
and our bodies fight back and turn those cells off. And so for some reason, I had a cell go rogue, and there's no rule that says I leave the mammogram, I sit in my car, one cell goes and then it doesn't get turned off and poof, you have cancer and it's there. It goes from not there to there. It's got to start at some point. Um, there are some environmental and nutritional factors that could be the case. So breast cancer specifically is 1 in 40 women in North America. That's America, the US and Canada. In Asia, I'm sorry, it's 1 in 8 for North Americans. It's 1 in 40 for Asians. And so clearly there's something
Right.
that we're diet, environment. I mean, those are the guesses, but who knows, right? And
Yeah.
and I'm very grateful that our administration now is looking into removing dyes and things like that from our foods, which is great, which is great. That's not my area of expertise, but I can't imagine it's going to be harmful to take out dyes and toxins from our food. But really what I know is that I'm even a vegetarian, right? So I do my best and this cell went rogue and perhaps it was a fluke and I wasn't going to question it. I did not have a why me moment. I never thought, but
Yeah.
but I'm a fitness expert. No, I just
Exactly. You've got every right to complain at being hard done by.
well, think about how many babies are in
Yeah.
a hospital with cancer.
They've not
They've
even
done
had.
absolute Yeah,
Exactly.
they've done nothing. And so there was no value for me bemoaning the fact that I had cancer. Did I like it? No. Was I scared? Was I stressed? Yes. But being miserable, like it's okay to cry, and I did, but it's not okay to bask in it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just
I
I
do.
got
I
it.
see it. Yes.
I got it. It sucks. I'm going to be grateful that I'm not a kid with this. I'm grateful it wasn't my kid. Like if cancer came to my house, thank God it chose me, right? So perfect perspective, someone always has it worse. Plus, there's some other far more fatal types of cancer. So I just was like, okay, my doctors have said they predict they have a cure for me, and I'm gonna lean on that, hope that's true, and make the best of things and keep living. So quite often people get diagnosed with cancer and they're like, you gotta hide out, you gotta stay home, wear a mask, hurry up. And I just thought, F that. If I am
Yeah.
going to be fighting for my life, I'm going to live every day to the fullest. And that is not sitting in my room with a mask on, not smiling at people, not seeing smiles. And so I continued to announce all my raises, to do all my keynotes. I probably got on about 30 flights out of my hometown of Gainesville, Florida to go work. And, the reality is it was hard. I was just very, very sick. My worst part of treatment is that I was violently ill pretty much every day for a year and a half.
Right.
Oh my gosh, I was so sick. But I just chose, if I got to be sick somewhere, I might as well be sick in New York, surrounded by 10,000 of cool people, right? So I made those decisions, and then what I found was even at my worst, where I would sleep on the hotel bathroom floors because I was so sick. When the alarm would go off, I'd get up and I'd find a way to get myself over to my stages. The second I stood on my stages, I wasn't sick, I wasn't suffering, I wasn't tired. It was those magical moments, hours at length. I got to be full force Fitz Koehler again. I was fueled by these people. They were the drug I needed. And so that's why people should have passions. If it's your career, if you love your work as much as I do, great. Great. If you don't have a job you love, you got to have people, you got to have hobbies, you got to have things that fuel you
Yeah. Oh, I
because
totally agree.
yeah, and then when you're sick, don't give them up. Lean in. The COVID situation, I think, shined a bright spotlight on the wrong way to do things. How many
Yes.
people committed suicide during that time? Isolation is for prisoners. Isolation is for the worst
Yes.
of humanity. You put them in a cell and you lock them up and you say, keep your horrible intentions to yourself. If we have a person who is sick, we say, okay, let's get you out into the sunshine and the fresh air and at the sporting events or the entertainment or the social events that you enjoy. And so, I'm not a perfect person at all. I'm opposite of perfect, but I definitely made some great decisions that allowed me to have quality of life and have an income and come out as a way better person on the back end of cancer than I was at the front. And thankfully, I've written some books that and I've helped other people make those good decisions too.
I mean, you've got like endless enthusiasm. You've got so much knowledge and passion,
Thank you.
experience there, and then you go through this,
Yeah.
which is just is an insane story in itself. How did it change you coming out of it? Thankfully, you're fully fit and healthy, and you've recovered and
Yeah.
overcome it. And
Yeah.
how did it change you as a person? What did it? I would say,
Yeah.
what did it add to you?
Right. So I'm dinged up a little bit. Physically, I feel like I'm 23. I feel as strong as I ever have, even when I was back fighting. I mean, I've worked hard and I value health and I just value feeling good and I feel like I look good and all of those things are exciting to me. But sometimes people hit a major fork in the road, like a disease and or an
Yeah.
injury, and they go, "Oh, I've really been kind of screwing things up. I need to do something else." Excuse me. For me, when I hit that fork in the road, it told me that the thing that I was already doing were the right things. And so I have leaned in even further to
Yeah.
the person that I am, the things that I love to do. And I've cranked everything up 1,000%. I'm happier than I have ever been. I'm also annoyingly fearless. Like after cancer,
What's there to be
what?
scared about?
What's there to be scared of? So many people are afraid to try karaoke. Who gives a
Yeah.
whatever about what someone
Yeah.
thinks of my voice? I will tell you, I'm a terrible singer. I will stand on yeah, I get on national television and sing a song right now because again, who cares? And so cancer has really opened up a lot of avenues for me just by dropping the worry. And I'm so excited about every day that I have. And
Yeah.
even on the bad hair days, I'm just so grateful to have hair. So I chose not to wear wigs. So
Yeah, that's it.
now,
Yeah.
now when someone's like, I like your hair, and my response is always, I like having hair. And sometimes they look at me like, what does that mean? Oh, trust me, I just like having hair. So a lot of appreciation for a lot of things.
Yeah. And you must have had countless people that have been through cancer or going through it
Yeah.
come up to you.
You know what? I do. I do. It's one of the blessings and curses. And so the books that I wrote, one's a memoir. It's My Noisy Cancer Comeback. And then there's Your Healthy Cancer Comeback. That one's the guidebook for cancer patients, survivors, the caregivers to go from sick to strong. There's a journal attached. So I purposely wrote these books to target cancer patients. And then because of that, and because I'm very accessible, I have so many people with cancer reach out. They say, I need your book. I have brain cancer or whatever. And so I'm constantly bombarded with bad news. I get a lot of horrible news, people
Yeah.
telling me that they have cancer or their best friend or their dad or whatever. And so
Yeah.
that itself, I ache for those people, but it's really rewarding for me to know that I'm helping them. Whether these are people that will beat their cancer and go to live on for a very long time, or maybe people who just lived better through their cancer. That it's just I love helping people, and if I could give somebody a better day, a better month, a better year through health and fitness, and it's just really meaningful to me. So, yeah, and I have so many people reach out and say that they benefited from my books, so that feels good, as you can imagine.
Yeah, and you've done so much, and it looks like you're just doing even more. There's more to come from you. You're doing so many things.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the game plan, right? I want more. I will never, actually, a great burden of who I am is I will never be satisfied no matter what
That's
I
a great,
accomplish.
great.
Yeah, I mean, that's rough. That's rough to know I'll never ever get there.
Yeah,
Ever.
it's like, as a therapist, you say a few lines like with a lot of clients that's been through a lot. Yeah, they're like, when's this going to come to an end? And I'm like, yeah, you're on it's a journey, not a destination. You'll be carrying
Hmm.
working on yourself forever or whatever. And you can look at it as a positive or a negative. You look at it as a positive there as well. And it's humans, we're designed to always be searching and achieving to get our fulfillment, and you're never going to run out of that.
No, no. So I'm resigned. I'm resigned. I can be in
Yeah.
a place where I feel accomplished. I feel proud. I feel happy. But also there's this like aching frustration. So, and my psychotherapist, you'll get this. I have had so many people read my books and I feel great about that. But then there's all these cancer patients who have never even heard of the books. And
Yeah.
I feel so guilty that I haven't done a good enough job marketing them that they know about them. So there aren't a lot of tools for cancer patients in the health and fitness field. And if somebody has these books, I know that they'll do better.
Yeah.
But, maybe there's a lot of people in England who've never heard of these books. And so they're just sick and they're just weak and they're just tired. And if I didn't get to them, that makes me kind of like a failure, right? So I don't know. I struggle with that too.
Yeah. So that you're always looking to try and to reach more people, to try and help more people there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. If
With everything you've achieved and are achieving and going to go on, have you ever stopped and reflected over just how much you've done? Have you actually allowed yourself credit for it, or are you too busy focused on the next thing?
that's interesting. I've never sat back and thought about the cumulative effects of my career. But I do really value, I mean, I just got someone write a review for my newest book, You Supercharge, the other day. It was like, I love it, and I've lost 5 pounds in 3 weeks. And so, I accept that, and I think, wow, I that was my mission when he picked up the book that he would be a better version of himself, and he is. So, hooray! If I wrote the book and it's 400 pages, so if I wrote it and just it was so that guy is healthier, then I consider that a win. So I'm constantly so many people reach out to tell me about their weight loss or they have no pain or whatever. And so that's exciting. Those are my awards. You know how some professionals have big plaques on their wall that say like
Yeah.
employee of the month or something. my awards are people that just feel better and perform better. And when they let me know, I feel very grateful for that.
And for the future, what's the future looking like for you? What have you got lined up?
Oh gosh, more world domination in fitness. Like I said, if I don't reach 100% of everybody,
Yeah.
I will die a failure. So, so more keynotes and more race announcing and more TV. And, it's funny, I had this dry erase board that oh, I got this dry erase board probably 20 years ago, and I made a list of things that were on my agenda professionally to accomplish. And one of the things was 10 books. And so I am halfway there. I've written five. And I do want to smack myself around a bit for writing down 10 books. But I also feel like, well, I wrote it, so I got to do it. So apparently, at least five more books, which
Five more books.
is exhausting, but whatever.
If there's
Hopefully, they'll
anyone
be
that's
valuable.
if there's anyone that's got the energy to do it, it's yourself. So I won't worry too much about finding the energy.
Yeah, I appreciate the faith. Thank you.
All right. Fitz, it's been absolutely amazing talking to you. It's so inspiring, so energizing there. I love everything that you've done. Your mindset to overcome what you've done in the way that you've done it and to go on to do what you do is just phenomenal. Anyone that knows you, listens to you, listens to the podcast will get so much from it. It's been an absolute honor to have you on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, and a big hug and some love to all your listeners. And if you don't mind, I'd like to encourage, so
Go for it.
fitzness.com. That's fitznes.com is my home base for everything. There's tons of free articles and free workout videos and free content that will help anyone live better and longer. My books are there as well, but I'm also at Fitzness on Instagram and Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn, and if folks follow, I promise quality content, but I'd much rather have friends than followers. So, folks, if you do want to follow, please say hi. I heard you on Lee's Adversity to Strength podcast, and then we could be besties because that means a lot to me.
And I'll have the links added in to the description as well.
Thank you.
All right, brilliant.